Good afternoon, everyone. It is noon, and we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Kaneen, Taffy Kaneen, and I'm one of the school counselors here at Mason Creek. Have a couple of other folks joining me for the presentation.
Hello, my name is Miss Johnson. I'm the other counselor here at Mason Creek Middle School.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you know who I am. I'm Tiffany Weaver, the principal here at Mason Creek.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and hopefully shed some light on the high school registration process and answer any questions that you guys have. Our objectives for today are to, like I said, help you guys understand the high school registration process, give you guys some just some advice and just some things on how you can help support your students through the process and give you some resources for both you and your students for today. Here in Douglas County, just kind of a wide view, here in Douglas County we have 5 traditional high school options. Here at Mason Creek, we are primarily zoned for Alexander High School and Douglas County High School. So your students, if you are not attending a magnet or CCI, will be either going to Alexander High School or Douglas County High School. So when they attend high school, when they attend high school, they will be going through and having 8 classes per year. So it's called a 4x4 block schedule. This is a little bit different than middle school. We have students take 4 classes during the fall semester, which is August through December. And then students take 4 different classes spring semester, January through May. Your students were we went through in February and talked with them about it, and they seemed pretty excited that they would be switching classes altogether in the winter after winter break. But I think it also sort of, they were like, oh my gosh, like it's not a very long time because they're used to taking classes for a full year. So 4 months is definitely a more condensed version. All classes are approximately 90 minutes long, and each class counts as 1 credit. And a student must earn a 70 or above to earn that credit. So we are going into high school, and so they are going to have to be earning their credits in order to move on. Oh, Ms. Johnson, we can't hear you.
Hello, sorry about that. For each student that is enrolled in a Douglas County school, will need to have at least 23 credits to graduate, regardless if they're in any magnet program. So if your student is at the FAME program or the IB program, the requirements are the same. Each student must have 23 credits. So by the end of their end of their senior year, my sensor went off. At the end of their senior year, each student will have at least 4 English credits, 4 math credits, science credits, and social studies. Here, as you can see on the screen, social studies, it says 4 because each school will give a full
Ms. Johnson, you just froze. Here. Hold on one moment. Come on over.
Hello. Okay. You can't really depend on computers when you want to. Okay. So we're going to start that again. Can you go and close that out?
Mm-hmm.
So as I was saying, each requirement, you have 4 classes for English, 4 classes for math, science, and social studies. In the state of Georgia, you're only required to have at least 3
credits. And some of those credits, the credit of American government is a half credit and economics is a half credit. So that's why it only shows 3. But in Douglas County, all the schools teach the credits on a full credit. So that's why your student will come out with 4 full credits unless they're in the IB program. And the IB program, they only offer half credit for American government and a half credit for economics. The next one is your career technology, agriculture, education, which is your CTAE pathway programs, as well as your fine arts. The fine arts are your band and music and theater classes, and then your foreign language. With this combination, the students need to have at least 1 of each group. So as long as they have 3 in the category, some students can have 3 in CTAE, 3 in fine arts, and 3 in foreign language, or your student can have 1 of each, as long as they're meeting that CTAE requirement apart for their electives. And the next required graduation is health and personal fitness. As we spoke to our students earlier, some of the students thought it was a regular PE class. And it is a PE class. However, this is a requirement for graduation. So each student, 9 times out of 10, will receive that health and personal fitness credit their 9th grade year. So they don't have to worry about trying to match up that credit during 11th grade or 12th grade. So all 9th graders will have an automatic English, math, science, and social study and health and personal fitness for their requirement. And this is a graduation requirement. So some students like, well, what about health? What about weight training or team sports? Those are considered regular PE classes, but once again, health and personal fitness is a required course, and they must have that on their transcript before they graduate. And then they have 4 additional electives, which can count as those team sports classes, your mythology class, your sociology classes. So those are other general electives that counts for your 4 electives. And all of those credits count up to 23. And of course, our students have 32 opportunities, because each year your student will have 8 classes each year. And at the end of your 4 years, of course, they will have 32. So your student will have 32 opportunities to meet that graduation requirement of 23 credits. And it must be 23. It can't be 22.5 unless, and if that happens, then they will not meet graduation requirements. And then their counselors will make sure they have those requirements once they get to the high school level. Most students will have this particular schedule. 9th grade literature, and if your students is in advanced classes, so 9 times out of 10, if they make those beacon assessments and those benchmarks assessments, depending on what classes that they're in, the teacher has selected, they will have 9th grade literature, world history, algebra, environmental science, or honors biology. Health and personal fitness, as you can see, as automatic, and then 2 to 3 electives. And as we can see here, some of our students are going over to the high school level with a foreign language class. So that's why we said 2 to 3, because health and personal fitness is an elective. So that will take up 1 category. And if they're in a foreign language class this year, that also will take up another spot, because we highly suggest to our students to go ahead and to automatically go into that next level, so they won't lose that information they received coming from middle school. And then they will have 2 additional elective spots that they can select based on, of course, their academics and the availability of those electives. Academic class recommendations. The student's current 8th grade teacher will make the recommendation for the student. So the teachers have already made those recommendations for the students. So in their Infinite Campus, the core requirements, the core classes have already been made by your current teacher. And it is based on their the guidelines for high school, the knowledge performance, their benchmarks, and their work ethic as well going into their 9th grade year. Okay. choosing a high school elective. Each student has the availability to go into the Infinite Campus portal. We spoke about this also in our classroom guidance classes for the past month. So they will go in and make their electives choices through Infinite Campus. They will also be able to make this selection if for some reason they don't make it in Infinite Campus. They could do it tonight at Freshman Expo. Tomorrow at Freshman Expo. And Freshman Expo is March 14th, which is tomorrow from 6 to 8. And for some reason, if they do not make that selection, it is very important that your student go ahead and do their selection now, because if it's not made in Infinite Campus now or during Freshman Expo tomorrow, the high school will go ahead and give them a class. And they may not be able to get out of that class. So we encourage all the students to do that between now and tomorrow to make their selections, because this is the one time that they can find the classes that they want. We've all spoke about the different type of pathways and electives in the course classes, and they're able to also look at that information in their Google Classroom as well to see the different types of selections that they can make. So it is very important, parents, to encourage your students to do this selection tonight or tomorrow so they can have the opportunity to make their own choices for the things that they're looking forward to either being in high school and eventually transitioning out of high school.
Okay. So Ms. Johnson, she mentioned that that the Freshman Expo is tomorrow. So I'm going to encourage all of you guys. I'm hoping that you've already heard about this from the high schools, because this is a major event that is put on by Douglas County. All of the high schools are open between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And it's a big open house. Okay, this is where you can learn about the sports and the clubs and the activities and the career pathways and the electives. They have an opportunity to explore campus a little bit. But it's a major event that we have really been pushing our 8th graders to be like, okay, make sure that your parents know about this. Make sure that you have a ride to this. Because, I think this is, one of the first times where the students have been invited to come to the high school campus as future students. And, they are really rolling out the red carpet for them and getting things ready. We went ahead, Ms. Johnson also mentioned, we went ahead and spent time with all of your students last month, basically reviewing what their elective choices would be at their designated high school, what's that high school that they're going to go to. So they have that information. We also encourage them to spend some time with the DCSS, Douglas County School System Career Planner. If you are not familiar with the Career Planner, it has all the information that you could ever possibly want to know about, about the schedules in high schools, about the pathways, about the electives. It has course descriptions. It has all of those things. And so, they have access to that in their Google Classroom, and you can, obviously access that as well. I always recommend to parents, go ahead and get connected with your high school social media accounts now, because you want to be making sure that you are getting all of the information as it's coming out, making sure that, what events are coming up. So I always kind of recommend parents go ahead and just get connected now, because I think that that's going to be really important to just kind of keep your student on track for this upcoming year. So these are obviously links, but you will have access to this presentation. If you're not sure what high school your student is zoned to attend, it is based upon your address, and this can be found on the Douglas County School System webpage as well. It's called EduLog, but it's basically you put in your address and it'll show which high school your student is zoned to attend. We have the Career Planner here as well, so you can go ahead and access the Career Planner. And then I also put an invite link to the 8th grade Google Classroom. As I said, there's multiple elective choices that your students have access to. It has basically all the information that we've been giving your students on the 8th grade, on the 9th grade transition for the past month or so. But I'm going to open this up for questions. I know that there's always questions. And I know as a parent, I always have questions. So what would you guys like to know? Yes, Ms. Vandegraff. Here, do I need to?
Hey, I'm sorry. So, when your student is on, if they're at Mason Creek on transfer, where do we, and I need to fill out a transfer request when that opens up for the high school. How do I navigate that with his registration right now? Tonight, and which expo do we go to?
So we've been recommending that, students go ahead and fill out they're going to be given the opportunity to select electives in, whatever high school they're zoned for, but that is going to go into Infinite Campus. So if that is transferred over, they'll be able to see what that is already in Infinite Campus. So by your student already putting the elective choices in, that's going to transfer. They'll be able to see what they're requesting at whatever high school in Douglas County that they're going to go to. And there is between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., all of the high schools are open. Okay, so you may want to, go check out both, to be honest. No one is preventing you from doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when if they're in advanced classes right now and the recommendations have already been made by their teachers, do we have access to see those in our view of Infinite Campus, or do the students know?
The students will have access to that. They can go ahead and access that in their Infinite Campus when they're selecting their electives. They're able to see what the recommendations are. They're also, wherever your student is zoned to attend, where we know they're going right now, they'll have schedules ready for you at that Freshman Expo. So you could see them there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Blair?
Oh, the volume.
Oh, I can't hear you, Ms. Blair.
Sorry.
There you go. Nope, you're fine.
Will we be able to make changes to our child's schedule at that time also, or do we have to wait until school actually starts?
So they usually have a form at the expos that allow you to make the request to change your student's schedule. Yeah.
Okay, if your student is on an IEP plan,
Mm-hmm.
do they take that into consideration for classes as well, or is that a separate meeting altogether?
Nope, they absolutely take that into consideration. So your the case manager of your student, right? They went ahead and made the recommendations, okay, for your student for high school. But because the case manager in the high school is going to go ahead and fine tune that for your child's specific needs, but that's not a separate meeting. No.
Okay.
And then I'll just add that every 8th grade student that does have an IEP will have a transition meeting, and you guys will discuss that in way more detail. So
Okay.
you'll do that as well at some point in the next couple months.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all I had.
Any other questions? Anything we can help you with? All right. I think the biggest thing that I want to leave you with is they are so excited. I can't tell you. Like, the halls are buzzing right now with like what classes they're selecting and all of that. So definitely bring that up tonight. And make sure that you guys head on over to the expo tomorrow at 6, because that's going to be really important. I know they're all looking forward to that.
And during the expo, the parents and and students, they are able to look at different things, the activities, the sports, different clubs and organizations. Sometimes that the schools also have places that you can buy T-shirts and things like that. So it is a very exciting thing for the rising ninth graders and their parents to be able to get a look at that campus before August starts. So it is really fun.
Yeah. Ms. Parks, you have a question?
Yes, I have a simple but very important question. What are the hours for high school?
The hours are from 8:10, I believe, to 3:10. It's almost an hour earlier, so they get out earlier. Most campuses start between 8:10 and 8:20, but you can definitely be able to see that schedule. They'll have schedule information for your student during expo. So they'll have the bell schedule, the entrance schedule, all of that at your high school expo.
And thankfully, Ms. Johnson just came from high school, because I know Dr. Kennedy and I were like, what time did it start? So yeah, Ms. Johnson is a former counselor at Douglas County High School. So if you have any questions, especially if you go to DC tonight or tomorrow night, definitely let Ms. Johnson know. So thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. Ms. Blair, did you have another question, or is this from your? Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, anything else? No? Okay, so like I said, Freshman Expo, we are here, Ms. Johnson and I, and obviously Dr. Weaver as well, to help you guys through this transition. The high schools are obviously the experts in this area, so sometimes we may be like, oh, we're not sure about that. You may need to contact the high school. So they're all really friendly. So the sooner you get to, kind of getting to know them, I think is always a good thing. But we're here if you have any questions. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.